Oh my god. This is going to be controversial. So just a disclaimer, okay? So this is just for educational purposes only. Hello, Real Estate George here, and today let's discuss a legal issue that relates to ownership of your property. And I'm using the husband as an example here, although the same scenario can also be applied to the wife. So here's the situation. You started an affair with another woman while still validly married to your wife. And while you have not annulled your marriage yet, you parted ways. Now, and during the course of your separation, you both have separately acquired assets from each of your earnings. And this is where it gets tricky. Now, I'm talking about the ownership and rights to your property. What if your legal wife wants all of your properties because of your infidelity? But what if your other woman wants a share too? Does she have a right? What are the property rights of your legal wife and your other woman on your properties? Let's start with defining the foundation based on the Family Code of the Philippines. Number one is on the Conjugal Partnership of Gains. The second one is on the System of Absolute Community of Property. The third one is the Complete Separation of Property. And the fourth one is the Property Regime of Unions Without Marriage. Now, these are the four property regimes that applies to married people and will govern their individual rights over the properties they have purchased. And this can include real estate, jewelries, cars, or anything with value. And now, if this is too much in one viewing, I suggest you watch this video multiple times and you can take note if you want to. Now, let's start with the Conjugal Partnership of Gains. And this applies to marriages which took place before August 3, 1988. This law dictates that properties acquired before the union are exclusively to that of the buyer, where any property purchased or built by the husband or the wife during their singlehood is exclusively his or hers. However, upon getting married, the couple's properties are joined together as one estate, and any income or other benefits generated by it will go to the common fund or the conjugal property of the spouses in which they have equal rights. For example, before the wedding, the husband already owned 4 properties, and after the wedding, these properties will continue to be his own exclusive properties, but its rental income will go to the common fund of the spouses, with the wife having an equal share in that income. Then there is the Absolute Community of Property, which states that all the possessions of the husband and the wife are pooled together into one common fund, including those they already owned prior to the marriage, and both of them have equal rights to everything in this common fund. This became a law under Executive Code number 209, or the Family Code of the Philippines, and was signed by then President Corazon Aquino on July 6, 1987. So for couples, take note that are married on or anytime after August 3, 1988, all properties acquired before or during the union are automatically considered conjugal properties upon marriage. It will not matter if the husband bought a beachside property worth 50 million into the marriage while the wife took care of their kids. And even if she does not have no monetary contribution of the purchase, if they enter into marriage after August 3, 1988, and they did not execute a marriage settlement stipulating otherwise, the Absolute Community of Property regime applies to them. And when they have to separate, both of them will get equal shares of the total of their community fund. Then the third one is the Complete Separation of Property, or what we commonly known or recognize as prenuptial agreement or prenup. Well, the Family Code provides that a regime of absolute community of property applies automatically upon marriage. That regime is subordinate to the terms of a valid prenuptial agreement. And although divorce is not yet allowed under Philippine law, prenuptial agreements are permissible to fix the property relations during their marriage within the limits provided by this code. And as the name attests, the complete separation of property is agreed upon before the union and is a way to specify which, if not all, of a husband and a wife's properties are owned separately. This refers to both the present and future property, including those that they already owned prior to the marriage. And the last one is property regime of unions without marriage. For couples who are perfectly capable of getting married but don't want to get married, their property relations work a lot like that in conjugal partnership of gains, where their possessions remain exclusive to them. For couples where one party or both of them have legal impediments to marry, like age or previous bond, each one will keep his own property. Each one will also keep his own earnings and anything he or she exclusively acquires during their cohabitation. Only those properties which they acquired together by their joint effort will be commonly owned by both, but their share is only equivalent to the actual contribution they made in the acquiring of those properties. Now that we have established that, let's go back to our scenario on the property rights of the legal wife and the other woman. If the man and his other woman live together or have acquired properties together, their property relations will fall under the second type of the property regime of unions without marriage. And I'm gonna give you scenarios. Now, as to the conjugal property of the husband and the legal wife will have an equal share and the other woman will have no share at all. As to the income and fruits produced by the conjugal property, the legal wife will have an equal share and the other woman will have no share at all. How about the property jointly acquired by the husband and the other woman? The share of the husband in the property will be included in the common fund in which the wife has an equal share, and the share of the other woman is only up to the extent of her contribution in acquiring the property. So, if the man and the other woman bought a 5 million property and the man contributed 4 million or 90% of the total value and the other woman contributed 1 million or 10% of the total value, the legal wife, even if she has not contributed, which I don't think she would, obviously will still have rights to half of the 4 million contributed by her husband, and the other woman will have the right to the 1 million she contributed. And how about the income and fruits of the property jointly acquired by the husband and the other woman? The share of the husband in the property will be included in the common fund in which the wife has an equal share. The share of the other woman is only up to the extent of her contribution in acquiring the property. Now, if the 5 million property bought by the husband and the other woman generates income of, let's say, 500,000 pesos per month, the legal wife will still have rights to half of the 400,000 and the other woman will have rights to the 100,000 equivalent to their contribution when they acquired the property. And even if the other woman managed the property, her share will not increase and is still only up to the extent of her contribution in acquiring the property, not in managing the property. And as to the salaries, wages, and other earnings of the husband, the legal wife will have an equal share and the other woman will have no share at all. How about if the husband and the wife have a complete separation of property or prenup? Now, this is a different scenario. As to the conjugal property of the husband and the legal wife will have an equal share and the other woman will have no share at all. As to the exclusive property of the husband, both the legal wife and the other woman will have no share at all. As to the income and fruits produced by the exclusive property of the husband, both the legal wife and the other woman will have no right at all. As to the income and fruits of the property jointly acquired by the husband and the other woman, the legal wife will have no right at all, and the share of the other woman is only up to the extent of her contribution in acquiring the property. And as to the salaries, wages, and other earnings of the husband, both the legal wife and the other woman will have no right at all. But what if the legal wife has no interest in the husband's acquired property and vice versa? Let us say both of them are well off and just want to move on. Is it possible to enter into an agreement stating that they waive any conjugal rights that they have to each other's property? Well, the answer is no. Any extrajudicial agreement to this effect is considered void. Therefore, you cannot on your own. Enter into an agreement dissolving your absolute community or conjugal partnerships or conjugal partnership with your wife. Article 134 of the Family Code of the Philippines provides that in the absence of an expressed declaration in the marriage settlements, the separation of property between the spouses during the marriage shall not take place except by judicial order. Such judicial separation of property may either be voluntary or for your sufficient cause. Although you may not on your own enter into an agreement to separate your property, you may, however, do this through a judicial proceeding. Well, I hope you learned something from this video. And as parting words, everybody, including you, goes into the adulting phase. Bear in mind that marital relations can impact the ownership and rights of your properties. Many people today willingly get into complicated relations without minding the implication of their actions on their properties. And if you're involved to any of these scenarios, be it you are the husband, the legal wife, or the other woman or women, or have known someone in this situation, I suggest you reach out to your licensed real estate broker or lawyer for advice. And more importantly, properties you can get back if you lost it, but family, it is hard to get back once you have broken it. So think about it very well. So once again, this is George Ryan Sarmago, Unit Manager for Filipino Homes. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay at home, and peace.